Right now, there are more than 1,200 inmates in minimum security prisons in Massachusetts. We discovered this includes people convicted of violent crimes, armed robbery, kidnapping, even murder. The head of the Department of Correction admits if any of these inmates wants to escape, they can, which raises the question, is the state putting the public in danger? This place doesn't look like a prison,
Unit 237.
but it is one. The Pondville Correctional Center is a minimum security pre-release prison, one of 9 prison facilities in the state with a low level of security. It's home to about 200 inmates who are given a taste of freedom. They have rooms instead of cells and a lounge area for playing pool and cards. They can even sign out and walk around outside. Some are allowed to have dogs, which they train for the disabled.
Basically, they're inmates that are fed from the rest of the system. They're on their way out to the community. So
Superintendent Michael Thompson says minimum security and the privileges that come with it helps prepare inmates for their release. He boasts that there hasn't been an escape from Pondville since 2005.
They have to make the right decision not to leave because, as you see, there's no walls or fences. So the fact that they're here, they have to make that one very important decision. Am I going to do the right thing, finish my sentence?
But not all inmates make that decision. Last year, 5 inmates walked away from minimum security in pre-release facilities in Massachusetts, including Manson Brown, whose escape in November triggered a national manhunt. Brown took off after reading in the newspaper he had been indicted for rape. Brown was caught and returned to Massachusetts last week as a legislative committee on Beacon Hill grilled Department of Correction Commissioner Harold Clark about why Brown, who had escaped twice before, was housed in minimum security. The commissioner says it was appropriate for Brown to be in minimum security, even with his history of escapes, and that his office was unaware of the rape indictment. But the lawyer for the district attorney's office testified the Department of Correction was put on notice back in 2008 that a DNA match connected Brown to an unsolved rape.
It seems like DOC dropped the ball here.
DOC did not drop the ball by any stretch of the imagination. DOC was not notified by anyone that there were plans to indict this individual.
But someone in your office knew that there was a match to another crime. Shouldn't that have raised a red flag?
No, I just, as we sat here, I had that person emailed, and that person responded saying they had no such indication that there was a match, not a crime.
Senator Mark Pacheco is chair of the Senate Committee on Post-Audit and Oversight.
Are you worried there are other inmates in minimum security who don't belong there?
Absolutely. That's why we've asked for a list today of all of those that are in minimum security.
Through a public records request, Fox Undercover obtained information from the Department of Correction, which sheds light on the types of violent inmates housed in low-security settings. Of the more than 1,200 inmates in minimum security, nearly 300 committed crimes against people, which include armed robbery, assault and battery, carjacking, stalking, home invasion, and kidnapping. There are even 6 inmates in minimum security convicted of second-degree murder. The records also show 141 of the minimum security inmates committed crimes that resulted in sentences of 10 years or more, all the way up to life in prison.
Should people serving time for violent crimes really be in facilities where they can walk right out the door?
Well, people come in and hopefully people change.
Commissioner Clark says minimum security prepares inmates for life in the real world, and that inmates who leave the prison system from minimum security are less likely to commit another crime once they're out.
92% of these people are going home. And so if they're going home, it behooves us to do all that we can to assure that once they get out there, they're going to reintegrate successfully.
20 years ago, Massachusetts housed more inmates in minimum security than today. And according to Clark, back then, fewer inmates reoffended.
The process works. And it worked right here in Massachusetts. We went away from it, and we're now getting results that are not desirable.
As for convicted killers in minimum security, Clark says only people convicted of second-degree murder are considered for minimum security, and only after the parole board has indicated it plans to release them.
We are not just putting people out there and trusting and hoping that they'll do well. We are monitoring, we're surveilling, we're checking, and so forth. We're instructing, we're modeling.
But none of that worked for Manson Brown, who took off anyway. Steve Kenaway is the head of the union representing prison guards.
I would guarantee there are inmates in minimum securities that have some type of escape history. They have been placed there because of this system. If they don't change the system, then this is going to happen again.
If the corrections commissioner gets his way, you'll see more inmates in minimum security, a lot more. Right now, only about 14% of inmates who are released leave from minimum security prisons. Commissioner Clark says he'd like to see 80% of the people getting out of prison go to minimum security first. By the way, we asked the department how many of the inmates currently in minimum security have escaped from prison before or tried to. We still don't have an answer. The department tells us it's working on it. Do you have an idea for a Fox Undercover investigation? Call us at 1-800-TV-FOX-25. I'm Mike Bodette for Fox Undercover.